Hello everyone, so from a visual standpoint, we don't really get a lot of information from this week's cover page. It's Harjundin aboard his ship, or Harjundin, however you want to call him. Another translation was actually calling him one of the deserters from Buggy's delivery service, so that kind of makes me think that maybe Buggy put out a notice for people to be aware of these giants and just maybe report them or do something about them, although I really do believe that Buggy can't do anything about their resignation because now they serve God Usopp. At this point in time, I'm actually very curious to see how this cover story ends because there has to be, absolutely has to be something Elbaf related by the end of this cover story, and that'll give us a hint. It'll serve as a hint for us to know, or at least have some expectations of how Elbaf is going to reconnect with the main storyline, or how the main cast will reconnect with the Elbaf aspect of the manga. So we start off in Cacao Island again with those clocks. It's a very, very well-timed chapter. And there's a whole lot of talking going on by the Charlotte siblings. One of them in specific really reminds me of old Madara Uchiha, like starving Madara Uchiha. It's funny. But essentially what that dialogue is there for is just to set up readers' expectations. Be like, okay, well, this is what I would do if I were Luffy. But truly, those conversations are just kind of there to sort of intentionally mislead us about what's going to happen. So shut up, Madara. And that also includes Montdeur's dialogue back in Whole Cake Island, because he's essentially talking to Big News Morgans, because Morgans wants the scoop. He's like, oh, wouldn't it be this amazing headline if Luffy actually escaped this time? And then Montdeur says one of the most blasphemous things I've seen in this series, where he says even if Goldie Roger were to get out of that mirror, he wouldn't be able to escape. Yeah, sure. Sure, especially because you've demonstrated how truly competent you are at stopping these guys before from absolutely wreaking havoc throughout your territory. Like, what is going on? Like, not even Goldie Roger. Are you kidding me? Like, I can just imagine, like, Roger, like, coming out of that mirror, using his King's Hawking, knocking most of these people out. Like, by the way, didn't Roger actually just, get the information that he needed from the Poneglyph and then just bailed? That's what happened, right? So, don't even consider Roger. Just Rayleigh alone would be able to escape you guys. Actually, you know what? Time out, time out. Let's not go that far up the food chain just yet. I'm gonna bet my money on Buggy being able to escape Whole Cake Island. How about that? No, but seriously, again, the whole point of that type of dialogue is to hype up Luffy so that when he actually ends up escaping, it'll be breaking big news. Anyway, we get a very cool looking shot of Sanji just sitting there waiting for his captain to come out of the mirror so that he can help him. And I think what makes Sanji look very cool with this cloak is that there's no other way to describe it, honestly. I thought about this. The way he's dressed like that makes him look like he's wearing something that was very popular during the time of Jesus. Pudding is still there, and since she is technically still one of Big Mom's daughters, Sanji says, the moment that Luffy comes out of the mirror, that's going to be it for us, so I guess this is goodbye. And he has a pretty nice speech. I think it was very intentional that Oda showed Sanji thinking back on his time on Whole Cake Island, thinking about Pudding, just from his very first introduction to her via a photograph to that embrace that they shared when, like, Luffy and Nami were fighting the army outside. But then something very weird happens, in which Pudding takes Sanji's cigarette and says that she still has one last wish. And then we just cut away from that scene. So a couple things could have gone down. I think mainly three things could have happened, or maybe all those three things happened together. So the first one I think that could have happened was that they kissed. And Oda didn't want to show it, so he cut away from it just to give them a little bit more privacy and stuff. And maybe Sanji's going to remember and be like, oh yeah, we kissed, or I remember that kiss, it was a good one. The second one, which I'm kind of skeptical about, is the fact that maybe Pudding erased Sanji's memories, which I don't necessarily see the point of her doing that, especially because in that very same scene, Sanji says, I'm kind of glad that this happened. In a way, the time that I spent with you was kind of happy in a weird way. So I don't know why she would erase Sanji's memories. If anything, I would say it would be 10 times more useful to try and erase the memories of the people that are standing around the mirror. Like, get them to forget the reason for why they're standing guard in the first place, instead of messing up Sanji's memories about the time that you spent together. Because at this point in time, like, Sanji has admitted that those memories are kind of harmless to him. Actually kind of good in a way. So the third and final option could be related to Pudding's third eye power, or third eye ability. Maybe she kissed Sanji, maybe they kissed, and that triggered that power to awaken, finally awaken. Or maybe she's always had it and she's decided to keep it a secret from Big Mom because she doesn't want to be used as a tool to read those poneglyphs. So maybe she revealed that to Sanji. Again, these things could have happened, all at the same time. So maybe they kissed, that triggered the awakening, and then she was like, oh, I'm scared, I'm going to erase your memory so you forget that I actually have this power. Or maybe because she's part of the legendary Three-Eyed Tribe, perhaps she actually gave Sanji a power that is specific to her tribe that we don't know about. Maybe by kissing Sanji, she actually transmitted something to Sanji, or awakened something in him, aside from possibly the bulge in his pants. You know what I mean, though. You know what I mean. There's a reason for why that scene was cut, and it's obvious that it'll be a future revelation. The Sunny is nearing Cacao Island, and Sanji actually warns them against getting closer to the coast because that's where all the battleships are. So instead, he tells them, just wait in the perimeter, and I promise that I will bring Luffy to you. Because this whole thing is just filled with Big Mom's children. So we've already seen in the past how Sanji's so quick that he's able to speed blitz Oven. Oven didn't even know what hit him. So hopefully he'll be able to do the same thing here. I think the biggest obstacle that Sanji faces in trying to get Luffy out of Cacao Island is possibly ex-Commander Snack. Then again, when we previously saw Snack, it just felt like to me that Rouge had dedicated himself to beating every last drop of motivation out of this character. So I don't know what Snack's role is going to be. Although I can definitely envision the Vinsmoke fleet showing up to try and help Sanji out of the coast, or at least, back into the Sunny. Imagine if Rouge were to come back. That'd be crazy. Like, Sanji's just running towards the coast, and then Snack comes up to him. He's like, okay, this is as far as you go. And then Rouge jumps out of a cloud, and he's like, guess who's back? And then Snack starts singing, Despacito. We get a shot of Capone in his ship, still trying to flee Big Mom's and Prometheus's wrath. Kind of looks like this. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the weakest aspect of this arc. The fact that you have a Yonko chasing these people indefinitely without actually catching them. Like, this is like some Looney Tunes level type stuff. Like, where's the sense of danger in this Yonko chase? Again, Big Mom chasing X and Y is the equivalent of the birdcage in Dressrosa. Is there anybody who actually believes that Big Mom is going to kill Capone? The amount of tension from that chase has been close to zero ever since it started. Anyway, enough monkey business. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, because I have the bets. The bets for the fight. It's time to pay up, folks. Here are the results. If you had your money on Katakuri winning this fight, you take that L. You take that double Lindsay Lohan L, and you wear it proudly because you lost your bet. If you had your money on this fight ending in a draw, aka me, you also lose. You also take that double Lindsay Lohan L because it was not a draw. Luffy clearly ended up walking away from this. That being said, there's only one true winner here today, folks, and that is, according to some of the fandom, Mr. Plot Convenience. Mr. Plot Convenience, would you please step out and come to receive your winnings, please? After I uploaded my review for the previous chapter of One Piece, I noticed that Luffy's Snake Man was clenching his fist like this. And as I was doing my video, I knew that I recognized that palm position from somewhere. I just couldn't really put my finger on it. But now, thanks to the One Piece Wiki, shout out to the One Piece Wiki, I know that it's pertinent, or it actually is part of leopard kung fu, or rather leopard style kung fu. So I looked it up, and as it turns out, Luffy's Snake Man has more similarities with leopard style than it actually does with snake style kung fu. When Luffy initially announced that his new transformation was called Snake Man, I automatically assumed that it would have something to do with snake style kung fu. To be fair, there's still a lot of similarities between snake style and leopard style. For one, both styles are speed based, okay? But now, after the fight has ended, I think if I just read to you what leopard style is used for, it'll serve to clarify a lot of the stuff that happened during those final moments of the fight. And so, according to Wikipedia, the emphasis of the leopard kung fu style is both speed and angular attacks, both of which we actually saw in the previous chapter. That's what Snake Man was focusing on, speed and angular attacks via Luffy stretching out his arm.
Leopard Kung Fu is a hit, damage, and run style. So it's a hit and run technique. It's a different type of style, usually designed to overcome superior forces with inferior resources. This is very important. Superior forces. People and foes that are stronger than yourself with inferior resources. So you do the best you can with what you got. You land the hits, and then you pull back. Super quick, hit and run style. This is beginning to sound more and more familiar and definitely helps explain what ended up helping Luffy ultimately get that win. It says, counterattacks are sudden, indirect, and short, with the aim of landing a debilitating technique. The goals of this style are to, number one, develop muscle speed for external strength, which we've seen with Luffy's Python. It increases its speed exponentially as the attack goes on. Number two, to teach patience. And that point right there, in my opinion, serves to illustrate why Luffy decided to stay so long in his base form during this fight. He was trying to stress out Katakuri by dodging his hits for as long as possible by staying in base, because he knew that once he went Gear 4th again, not only would he run out of haki, but he would also not be able to rely on those heavy blows like Kong Gun and King Kong Gun to take him out, because Katakuri would be able to see right through those hits with his observation haki and block them like he did in the past. And that's totally not the case with Snake Man, because even when Katakuri blocked the Snake Man hits, those punches were still coming at him from a different direction. So defense-wise, there was very little that Katakuri could do to block or try to block those Snake Man attacks.
And then the third and final goal is to get those hits in, to penetrate, to pierce through the opponent's defense, and develop and work out lower body springing power. All right, so a lot of air action. Unfortunately, though, because of this tremendous speed, Luffy is also kind of sacrificing his defense stats. So it does kind of leave him open to receive a counterattack, as we saw last week or last chapter when Katakuri used the Dice Mochi on him and slammed him into the ground. Now, if you look at the page where we go into the mirror world for the first time in this chapter, first of all, look at the clock. It's 12:37. That'll be relevant for another point that I'm going to make. But I want you to see where Luffy is landing his hit and see where Katakuri is landing his hit. Katakuri lands the Dice Mochi attack over Luffy's head. You see some blood drip from the club, so he tried to go for that vertical hit, that vertical punch, to try and slam him into the ground, and that's why the ground collapses under Luffy's feet and he falls. Luffy's attack, on the other hand, went directly towards Katakuri's abdomen. And this is where the strategy part of the style comes in, because he's hitting Katakuri in his lower abdomen, which is exactly the same location where he injured himself with his own trident to make the fight fair. So that hit alone obviously inflicted a lot more damage than Katakuri's Dice Mochi, just based on the area where it landed. So they both seem to knock each other out. We then go back into the mirror world after some cuts to some other areas in the story, and we go back into the mirror world, and if you look at the clock, it's 12:47. Remember, I told you to pay attention to the clock the first time we were in the mirror world. It was 12:37, so now it's 10 minutes after that. So that clearly means that Luffy still needs that 10-minute break to recoup, to regain his energy after using Gear 4. So Luffy comes out of the crater, and we get some perspective shots in this chapter that just illustrate how huge Katakuri is in comparison to Luffy. And that brings me back to the leopard style. I'm just going to read you this bit right here. It says, this hit and run technique of the leopard, all right, is especially effective against larger opponents. Katakuri is over 16 feet tall. Afterwards, there's a very, very cool harmonizing moment where Katakuri says, you're going to come back? You're going to fight Big Mom in the future? Try and take her out? And he's like, of course. I'll become king of the pirates. And then, I love the manga stream translation for this. He says, well, you really can see into the future. That is one of the biggest compliments in terms of a sense of acknowledgement, that I've seen an opponent offer Luffy in the entire series. In the Jaimini translation, Katakuri says something like, wow, you're actually seeing very far into the future. Now, the problem with saying very far is that it makes it seem as if the end of One Piece is very, very, very far. And we know that, the series is well over halfway done. So I like the manga stream translation better because it's, I guess it's a lot closer. Or at the very least, it doesn't make it seem as if Luffy's goal of becoming king of the pirates is super far away. So he falls on his back. Luffy breaks Katakuri's streak. His back has never touched the ground according to legend, and now it has. Initially, it seemed like it was like a fight for survival, kind of like the Lucci versus Luffy fight. No such thing. This eventually evolved into a fight about honor and respecting one another. I'm going to put the Alabasta goodbye scene right here because that was honestly one of the most honorable ways for any character to take an L ever. So Katakuri, man, one of the best things to come out of this arc by far. Amazing character. I hope he comes back into the story at some point in the future. He will be missed. I will say that. I will miss Katakuri. Great man. Great character. Luffy goes on to walk away from the scene, but not before placing his mafioso hat over Katakuri's mouth out of a sense of respect because he knew that's something that Katakuri felt very, very vulnerable about. Although technically speaking, wouldn't Flampe or Flambe be able to reveal the truth to people when she wakes up? Whatever, she's a stupid character. Peckham shows up with Brûlé, dressed up or pretending to be somebody else because he doesn't want to get caught by the other Charlotte family members. And that's essentially the end of the chapter, guys. It was a good chapter of One Piece. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video if you did. I really appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already for more One Piece related content. And click here to learn more about the 3 great world powers of the world of One Piece. Thank you so much. Catch you later. Bye.